What if the most famous landmark in Paris was never intended to be a monument but a weapon? In the heart of Paris, rising 300 meters above the Seine, the Eiffel Tower stands as the world's most recognizable symbol of French engineering and artistic achievement. Millions of tourists photograph its elegant iron lattice structure each year, marveling at the architectural genius of Gustave Eiffel and celebrating it as a triumph of 19th-century innovation. But hidden beneath decades of romantic mythology lies a darker truth. The Eiffel Tower was never designed as a monument to human creativity. It was built as the world's first large-scale frequency weapon, capable of manipulating human consciousness across vast distances through precisely calibrated electromagnetic vibrations. The story begins not in 1889 with the tower's official completion, but in the winter of 1884, when Gustave Eiffel received an unexpected visit from representatives of the French Ministry of War. The visitors carried with them a collection of ancient documents that had been discovered in the ruins of a collapsed monastery outside Lyon. These manuscripts, written in a mixture of Latin and early French, described construction techniques for what medieval scholars called towers of influence, massive iron structures designed to project specific frequencies across populated areas for purposes that the texts cryptically described as the alignment of souls. The medieval manuscripts included detailed engineering, drawings that showed remarkable similarity to Eiffel's later tower design. The ancient architects had understood principles of harmonic resonance and electromagnetic propagation that wouldn't be formally discovered by mainstream science until the 20th century. Their towers incorporated mathematical relationships between height, structural spacing, and material composition that created precise frequency outputs capable of inducing specific neurological states in human populations within a radius of several kilometers. But these ancient documents weren't the only inspiration for the tower's design. French military intelligence had been secretly collecting similar technological information from archaeological expeditions throughout the empire. Excavations in Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco had uncovered remnants of towers built by unknown civilizations, structures that exhibited the same mathematical principles and electromagnetic properties described in the medieval texts. The evidence suggested that frequency manipulation technology had been developed and lost multiple times throughout human history. Even more disturbing, comparative analysis of the ancient designs revealed that their creators possessed understanding of human neurological function that exceeded 19th-century medical knowledge. The frequency specifications found in the manuscripts targeted specific brainwave patterns associated with different states of consciousness, indicating that ancient engineers had conducted extensive research into the relationship between electromagnetic radiation and human behavior. French neurologists consulted on the project reported that the ancient frequency calculations matched patterns they had observed in patients suffering from various forms of mental illness and neurological dysfunction. The implication was clear. Whoever had designed the original towers understood the human brain well enough to predict and control its responses to electromagnetic stimulation. French military analysts studying the manuscripts recognized the strategic implications immediately. If the ancient techniques could be successfully reproduced using modern materials and construction methods, France could possess a weapon unlike anything in human history, a device capable of influencing the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors of entire populations without their knowledge or awareness. Eiffel was selected for the project not just because of his engineering expertise, but because his previous work on railway bridges had demonstrated his understanding of structural resonance properties. The Garabet Viaduct and other Eiffel constructions had exhibited unusual acoustic characteristics that suggested their designer possessed intuitive grasp of harmonic engineering principles that extended beyond conventional structural requirements. But Eiffel's involvement came with conditions that revealed the true scope of the project. He was required to work with a team of specialists that included not only structural engineers and metallurgists, but also physicians, neurologists, and specialists in what would later be called psychoacoustics. This interdisciplinary approach indicated that the Tower's designers understood the weapon's effects would extend far beyond simple structural engineering into the realms of human biology and consciousness. The team also included cryptographers and linguists who had been studying the ancient manuscripts for years before Eiffel's recruitment. These scholars had decoded additional texts that provided detailed operational instructions for the towers, including specific frequency sequences designed to achieve different psychological effects. The manuscripts described techniques for inducing sleep, causing panic, enhancing suggestibility, and even triggering what the ancient texts called soul separation, states of consciousness that modern researchers would recognize as out-of-body experiences. More disturbing still, the ancient documents included warnings about the dangers of frequency manipulation technology. The texts described catastrophic accidents that had occurred when towers were operated at excessive power levels, including incidents that resulted in mass hysteria, widespread neurological damage, and even what the manuscripts cryptically referred to as the permanent silencing of entire regions. These warnings would prove prophetic when French researchers encountered similar problems during their own experiments. The official story of the Eiffel Tower's construction, that it was built as the entrance arch for the 1889 Exposition Universelle, served as perfect cover for the military's frequency weapon project. The exposition provided justification for the massive construction budget and international attention, while the celebration of technological progress deflected suspicion about the tower's true capabilities. Construction began in 1887 under conditions of extraordinary secrecy. While public attention focused on the tower's height and aesthetic design, the real engineering challenges involved the precise placement of resonance chambers throughout the structure. These chambers, hidden within the iron lattice framework, were designed to amplify and focus electromagnetic frequencies generated by equipment housed in the tower's base. Workers involved in the tower's construction reported strange phenomena that weren't explained in official records. Men working on the upper levels frequently experienced disorientation, memory lapses, and dramatic changes in mood and behavior. Some reported hearing voices or music that appeared to emanate from the iron structure itself. Others described vivid hallucinations and episodes of altered consciousness that lasted for hours after leaving the construction site. These effects were not accidental byproducts of the construction process. They were deliberate tests of the tower's frequency projection capabilities, conducted using incomplete systems while the structure was still being built. French military observers carefully documented the workers' responses to different frequency settings, compiling data that would inform the final calibration of the completed weapon. Modern analysis of the tower's structural specifications reveals engineering choices that make no sense from a purely architectural perspective but become logical when understood as components of a resonance system. The spacing between vertical supports, the angles of diagonal bracing, and the positioning of decorative elements all follow mathematical relationships that optimize electromagnetic wave propagation and frequency focusing. The tower's 3 observation levels served as more than tourist platforms. Each level housed equipment for generating and modulating specific types of electromagnetic radiation. The lowest level contained powerful electrical generators and frequency modulators. The middle level housed focusing apparatus that could direct the tower's output towards specific geographical targets. The highest level contained monitoring equipment that measured the effectiveness of frequency transmissions and tracked their impact on populations within range. Testing of the completed system began immediately after the tower's official inauguration in March 1889. The 1889 Exposition Universelle provided ideal conditions for large-scale human experimentation. Millions of visitors from around the world passed through the tower's effective range over a 6-month period, allowing researchers to observe the effects of various frequency settings on diverse populations under controlled conditions. Contemporary accounts from exposition visitors describe experiences that align perfectly with known effects of electromagnetic frequency exposure. Reports of sudden mood changes, inexplicable feelings of euphoria or anxiety, and episodes of temporary disorientation were dismissed as responses to the excitement of the exposition. In reality, these were documented effects of the tower's frequency transmissions on human neurological function. The results exceeded the military's most optimistic projections. The tower demonstrated consistent ability to influence human behavior across a range of several kilometers. Different frequency patterns could induce states of calm compliance, anxious agitation, or euphoric distraction in target populations. Most significantly, the effects were completely undetectable by those experiencing them, who attributed their altered mental states to entirely natural causes. The success of the Paris experiments led to immediate plans for expanding the frequency weapon program. Military planners envisioned networks of similar towers positioned around major population centers throughout France and its colonies. Each tower would be capable of coordinating with others to create overlapping fields of electromagnetic influence that could control the behavior of entire regions. But the program was abruptly terminated in early 1890 following a catastrophic accident during a high-power transmission test. On January 10, 1890, technicians attempted to project a powerful frequency pulse designed to induce mass unconsciousness across central Paris. The experiment succeeded beyond expectations, but the intensity of the transmission created an electromagnetic feedback loop that severely damaged the tower's resonance systems and caused widespread neurological effects throughout the city. Thousands of Parisians experienced simultaneous episodes of confusion, memory loss, and temporary paralysis. Hospitals were overwhelmed with patients suffering from symptoms that physicians couldn't explain or treat. Animals throughout the city exhibited bizarre behavior, and sensitive electromagnetic equipment as far away as London registered unusual readings during the transmission period. The incident was covered up as an outbreak of influenza, but government officials recognized that the frequency weapon had become too dangerous to operate safely at such high power levels. The tower's transmission equipment was quietly disabled, and researchers associated with the project were reassigned to other duties. Official records of the frequency weapon program were classified at the highest levels and remain largely inaccessible to this day. However, the technology developed for the Eiffel Tower project wasn't simply abandoned. Elements of the frequency manipulation research were transferred to other classified programs that continue to operate under various forms of government and military oversight. Modern developments in telecommunications, broadcasting, and electronic warfare all incorporate principles first tested in the iron framework of Gustave Eiffel's tower. The tower itself remained operational as a frequency projector well into the 20th century, though at much lower power levels than the original military specifications. During both World Wars, Allied intelligence services reported unusual patterns of civilian behavior in Paris that suggested continued use of electromagnetic influence systems. Radio broadcasts from the tower during wartime often carried subliminal frequency modulations designed to affect listener psychology and morale. Today, as visitors to the Eiffel Tower experience a structure that has been carefully modified to conceal its original purpose. The resonance chambers remain embedded within the iron framework, but the transmission equipment has been replaced with conventional broadcasting apparatus for radio and television signals. However, sensitive individuals still report unusual sensations when visiting the tower, feelings of disorientation, mood changes, and altered consciousness that echo the experiences of 19th century exposition visitors. Modern electromagnetic analysis of the tower reveals that its structure continues to exhibit unusual properties that enhance and focus radio frequency transmissions in ways that conventional broadcast towers simply cannot achieve. The mathematical relationships built into its framework create natural amplification effects that suggest its designers possessed understanding of electromagnetic principles far in advance of officially recognized 19th century science. The suppression of information about the tower's original purpose reflects broader patterns of concealment surrounding early electromagnetic research. Many of the most significant developments in frequency manipulation and consciousness influence technology have been classified since their discovery. Hidden behind cover stories about architectural monuments, communication systems, and entertainment broadcasting, the Eiffel Tower stands as a monument not just to 19th century engineering, but to the systematic concealment of technologies that could revolutionize our understanding of human consciousness and social control. Its elegant iron lattice continues to project frequencies into the Paris skyline, carrying signals that reach far beyond the range of conventional radio transmissions and into the neural pathways of millions of unsuspecting minds. What other landmarks around the world conceal similar technologies? How many of the structures we celebrate as architectural achievements actually serve as components in global networks of electromagnetic influence? And why are the true capabilities of frequency manipulation technology kept hidden from populations that live their daily lives within range of these systems? The answers may be broadcasting from transmission towers in every major city. Their signals carefully modulated to maintain the illusion that human behavior is guided by free will rather than precisely calibrated electromagnetic frequencies. The iron framework rising above Paris may have been the first, but it certainly wasn't the last. Similar structures appeared in major cities around the world within decades of the Eiffel Tower's completion, each claiming to serve as communication towers, monuments, or tourist attractions. The Tokyo Tower, the CN Tower, the Space Needle, and dozens of other iconic structures all exhibit architectural features that optimize electromagnetic wave propagation in ways that extend far beyond their official functions as broadcast antennas and public observation platforms. Modern smartphone towers, 5G networks, and wireless communication infrastructure have inherited the advanced technology first tested in Eiffel's Parisian laboratory. The frequencies that once required a massive iron tower to generate can now be produced by devices small enough to hide in streetlights, traffic signals, and even the smartphones we carry in our pockets. The difference is one of scale and subtlety. While the 1890 accident forced researchers to abandon high-power frequency manipulation, they learned to achieve similar effects using lower-power transmissions distributed across multiple sources. Instead of one tower controlling an entire city, modern systems use thousands of smaller transmitters to create overlapping electromagnetic fields of influence that shape human behavior with surgical precision. Every time we walk past one cell phone tower, connect to wireless internet, or listen to radio broadcasts, we expose ourselves to frequencies that may be calibrated to influence our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways we're not conscious of experiencing. The technology that began as a single tower in Paris has evolved into a global network of electromagnetic influence that reaches into every aspect of modern life. The iron lattice that Gustave Eiffel built to pierce the Paris sky remains the prototype for all frequency manipulation technology that followed. Its mathematical elegance conceals a darker purpose that continues to broadcast across the centuries, reminding us that the most beautiful monuments to human achievement may actually be the instruments of our control. What if the landmarks we admire are actually the instruments of our control, ready to expose the secret knowledge they've kept from humanity for millennia? Determined to destroy the lies we've been spoon-fed about our true past? Then become part of this resistance network. Hit that subscribe button hard, record everything you uncover, and let's track down these hidden realities together. The evidence stays locked behind barriers of lies and institutional control. But together, as investigators, we possess the strength to expose their most guarded mysteries to the world.